Hello everyone, my name is Victor Lim and this is Kwon, who's a cellist. We've been playing together as a duo for 7 years since 2014, which started off with me playing some high-end cello concerto accompaniment part. We're really grateful to the Tunnell Trust for this opportunity to share our music with you. Most of the performances were recorded here on my piano. It's called Arthur Rubinstein. We're going to begin our program of 5 pieces with Beethoven's Fourth Sonata in C major, first movement, which will be followed by Rachmaninoff's Romantic Cello Sonata and its slow third movement. The program is centered around the theme of dialogue and how, in a duo playing, we explore this idea of dialogue and conversations between the two instruments all the time. I hope you enjoy the concert.
Next, you'll hear Debussy's Cello Sonata, the first movement, titled as Prologue. It's a very emotional piece. You'll hear lots of kind of outbursts, and it's quite befitting that it was initially subtitled as Piero Angry at the Moon. And after that is one of my favorite works, which is Schnitger's Cello Sonata. We'll hear the second movement, Presto. It's very aggressive, kind of raw, and is really technically demanding piece. And he was kind of seen as the successor to Shostakovich in Russia at the time. And afterwards you'll hear Bottesini's Elegy in D, which is a transcription, and you'll hear more about that with Jonathan afterwards in the interview. Hope you enjoy.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a bit of a first. It's wonderful to have a chance to chat to our artists after the concert. And we've got Wayne Kwon and Victor Lim with us, who you just heard. Good evening.
Hello.
Hi.
So you're stealing double bass pieces, Wayne. What's that all about?
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those pieces where I used to live with a double bassist. He was amongst one of my roommates. I just thought it sounded really nice, super lush. And then one day, I mean, we talked about it, and he came to my door with a transcription for cello. And yeah, and I thought it sounded really appropriate actually on the cello as well. So since then, I've been kind of using it as an encore, and yeah, and the audience seemed to love it. So it's, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we played it a few times together, and as soon as we said we need to come over a program for this concert, I think I said, "Can we please do the Bottesini?" Everybody needs to hear about this transcription. It's great. It's great.
Just hope you don't get in trouble with too many double bass players. Wonderful to hear it. Look, we're here to sort of not just talk about lockdown, but it's had a huge impact on all of us musicians, particularly us freelancers. You guys are sort of on the cusp of leaving music college and full-time studies and looking forward to your what will hopefully be a stellar career in the music business. But how have you been affected in a few sentences really by lockdown? What's it made difficult? Maybe it's made some things better and easier. Who knows? What about you, Victor?
Well, I think like a lot of people, the first few months were quite enjoyable in a sense, having a break and having a chance to sort of sit down at home and learn pieces without feeling the pressure of getting it prepared for something. So in a way, the first few months sort of quite nice to recharge, and then it obviously went on, and especially since the beginning of this year, I think it's brought a lot of challenges and questions in terms of music, but also personally as well. I mean, not being able to see people, friends and family. I haven't been home for about a year and a half now, which I normally go home every year. That's been quite difficult, and it's now opening up now, so I'm able to see friends again, but obviously I've only been able to see a couple of people. Wayne, really, actually, to rehearse. I live on my own, so I'm allowed to bubble, and Wayne's been my bubble, really, so that we can rehearse. And that's kept me sane, really, over the last year.
Wayne kept you sane. That's great to hear. So Wayne, how's it affected you? I mean, apart from obviously working with Victor, have you managed to work with anyone else?
Not in terms of chamber music, no. And I guess, yeah, I'm kind of the same with Victor and everyone else and every other musician. Obviously all this lockdown stuff has been pretty tough. But I'm kind of a boring person anyway, so I tend to stay home. So staying home wasn't like the biggest problem. I think for me it was just the lack of concerts, the lack of interaction with other musicians. So that's been quite tricky. But I think just having like regular lessons, even if it's on Zoom with Hannah, has been really useful. And just, yeah, looking for what we can apply for, any opportunities, has also kind of forced us to record stuff, which has been kind of ear-opening. Yeah, so good and bad for everyone, I guess.
Well, I know when we heard you at the Trust auditions back in October, those auditions, it was very plain that it was, in some cases, it was the first time that the groups who we had 14 groups that day, that they'd actually come to play in front of anybody since March last year. One group got particularly emotional when we started discussing what had been cancelled for them. And I think your identity is perhaps slightly different for some of the bigger groups. A duo is a slightly different animal, perhaps, I guess. But some of those bigger groups, it was a hugely emotional thing getting back together, and I experienced that with some of the groups I play with as well. It was just emotion was very much on the edge, getting back to it. It's an extraordinary thing. I think many of us come to realise just quite how important what we do is to our everyday well-being as much as anything. I mean, it's obviously affected morale in different ways for everybody, but have you been able to concentrate on practice, or has that just felt kind of too lonely a thing to do?
Well, I think they did come a point where just practicing wasn't enough. Definitely about 2 months ago, I think I definitely felt a real low point in finding a purpose in practice, where obviously, the music is great, and I love the music, and it's great getting to know it, but not knowing that I will be able to communicate it at all to anyone at any point, it's very difficult to keep going with it, I think, and find purpose. And that's been a really, I mean, in a way, I think a positive thing of the lockdown is ask these questions seriously and actually feel the need for it, because I always knew that we should ask ourselves these questions, but maybe not really felt the need for it. Why do you do music? Why are you a musician? And do you really, what's the purpose of playing? Is it any good for the society? Is it really a selfish act? And that's, it's been a really good chance to think about these things and to come to, for now, my personal conclusions to these questions. So yeah, I mean, it's now opening up, and as I said, actually, the rehearsals I was doing with Wayne was the only chance that I felt like I was communicating with somebody. And then even if it was rehearsals, it was a different level of, well, I am communicating and exchanging music with another person. That's definitely kept me going, than if I would have just had my solo practice for the whole year.
Wayne, any thoughts on that subject?
Yeah, I mean, Victor's kind of summarized it really well. Yeah, I think these are questions that we always kind of think about, but never really dig deep into them. Maybe it's because we're afraid to answer those questions, or we just can't be bothered. But yeah, I think over COVID, yeah, finding the purpose of what we do, I think has just become a lot more solidified. So if anything, it's kind of, at least for my case, I think it's something that I do really want to do. And I've kind of, found out that, yeah, maybe I've been taking concerts and things for granted in a way before all this happened. So yeah, I think it's kind of affected everyone's morale.
I watched a interview by cellist Yo-Yo Ma a couple of days ago, and I thought he really actually summed up in one sentence what I thought was the purpose. And so he just said, "I want to be a useful person," and I think that really sums it up. Actually, but obviously there are many ways. Luckily, as musicians, we can do that, not just through performing, but there are many strands of musical careers that we can bring positive. We're very lucky to be able to do that, but obviously we haven't really had the chance to be able to do that and feel the interaction with other people and audiences physically. Yeah, I mean, that's been, in a way, I guess the biggest change in morale is having a concrete sense of purpose of what we do and what I do, and what would keep me going for the next, I don't know how many years I'll be doing it for.
I think also there are many people out there craving to listen to music. I think the lockdown's definitely brought that about. I think once things open up, people will hopefully flock back to listen to you all, us all, with a renewed sense of excitement, perhaps. So yeah, I think, but it's brought back to us, to helped us to think about what really is important in many areas of life, I think. So yeah, fingers crossed for our profession, because I think we all need a boost after this. Everybody does in lots of different areas. So fingers crossed. The other thing I was thinking about, I mean, has it perhaps changed your thinking about what direction you want to go in, what sort of things you want to do going forward? Wayne, have you sort of had a different view, or are you pretty much the same?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I think just being really certain, or finding out that I was quite certain of what I wanted to do, and finding the purpose for it has kind of made me just even more sure that I do want to keep going with what I have in my mind for this profession. So
That's great.
yeah, in a way, not much has changed.
Well, Victor, I know you've got a new little thing up your sleeve. Do you
Yeah,
think
I mean, actually, for
do you
me,
think that do you think that idea would have appeared but for lockdown?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. I mean, I think it's same as Wayne, although maybe on a different level in a sense that I think before the pandemic, as Wayne said before, I was taking performance for granted, I think. And it was this is definitely the longest period of time since I started music school when I was 14 that I haven't performed. At school and at music college, I always had regular performances, and then there was never a couple of months really, without a performance. And now it's been what, a year with, obviously we've had the auditions and things like that, but no opportunity really to play a concert. I haven't even really done an online concert in a sense that actually this will be the first opportunity to share music with audiences and get feedback. And I think that sense, that realization of I've definitely had a realization of the fact that I really need to perform, which I didn't maybe feel because I've always had it. I've always performed, and so there came a point about a month, maybe just over a month ago, actually over Easter. I was really bored. I was bored to death. I was so sick of watching Netflix 6 hours a day, and I was sick of just sitting and I ran out of things to watch on Netflix, and I was doing all these boring long applications for hours and ends. I thought, what is the point of this? So let's think of a dream project. What would I want to do? And other than the Tunnel Trust concert, many of the things have been cancelled next year already. I don't know if things will be opening up again. So what am I going to do? Well, let's organize something myself then. So I thought, I love changing music, what can I do? I've always sort of had a love, actually, an interest in organizing things. So I thought, why don't I organize a chamber music festival? It's still in the planning process, and obviously I've had long chat with you, Jonathan, about it. But it's looking really exciting. One thing I've really got into and taken interest and feel passionate about now is representing the diversity of music, and also music by ethnicities and cultures of all parts of the world. That's in 21st century society. The wonderful thing about classical music is that we have hundreds of years of 100 years of history in classical music, not just 1700s and 1800s, or we go back before that, and it goes right up till the present day. And also, wonderfully, we have classical music written by non-white composers and non-Western composers. We have composers in China, in Korea. I came across wonderful composers from Syria, who classical music composers writing in classical music idiom, often writing music that's inspired by their own culture, which is wonderful. And I was reading a report by the audience agency the other day that one of the things that prevents people from Black and minority ethnicity people from coming to concerts is that they have nothing to relate to culturally. And that is not true anymore. It might have been true 50 years ago when these things weren't being considered, and there wasn't a lot of music possibly by these non-Western composers. But it is not the case anymore. It's something to celebrate and get out there, I think, to people. So I'm hoping to make this happen next year, where I'll be programming 50%, at least 50% of the program by non-white and non-Western composers, and also by female composers too. even if there is a lot of more awareness and attempt by many organizations, wonderful attempts to program these works, I don't think it's still enough, actually. And I'm learning still about so many different composers of different genders and different ethnicities that really deserve to be known. I think, even though until a couple of months ago, I was probably one of those people who thought, oh, these music are probably not well known because they're not very good. Absolutely not true. I was listening to Amy Beach yesterday, all night long actually, and thinking, how is she not better known? Why have I not learned any of this music? This is really top quality music. I was listening to the piano trio and piano quintet last night, especially the piano trio. I felt this really deserves to be played more.
I think this is. I mean, it's absolutely great. It needs to be empowering, and it's obviously empowering you. The thought of putting all this together, I think it's absolutely fantastic. You guys are prime example of the wonderful cultural melting pot that we live in, classical music, in this country and all over the world. And you know, that wonderful mix can only enhance all our musical lives. I think most of us who are involved in the music business feel that all the time. But I think this absolutely, Victor, is something we should shout about more often. We all learn from each other. Every time I hear a group that comes through the Tunnell Trust, hopefully it enhances my own cello playing or my thinking or whatever. We all learn from each other at different stages in our lives. I think it sounds like an incredibly exciting project. We'll do whatever we can at the Trust to help you out, Victor, and we'll keep people posted on your festival. Watch out on social media.
Keep everyone posted about it. So I talked a long time about it, didn't I?
That's fine. It's good to hear about it. So we are opening up slowly from this shutdown. What's next, Wayne? Have you got something in the diary that you're focusing on?
Concerts. Yeah, concerts.
Yeah, when? Have you got something coming up relatively soon in the summer or not?
Well, it's still to be confirmed because I do have a few things in Australia in November, but it's kind of dependent on the flights and all this quarantine stuff and then how my schedule pans out. But yeah, there's stuff there, and then there's obviously the stuff with Victor in December through the Tunnell Trust for some of our concerts in Scotland, which I'm really looking forward to. So yeah, I guess for me at least, after all this COVID stuff, concerts is really kind of the number one thing on my mind right now.
Victor, have you got anything coming up over the summer, or are you waiting to the autumn?
Well, over the summer, actually, I've deliberately kept it fairly free because I'm hoping, if I can, to go back home and see my family. But before that, I've got sort of weekly things going on at the college. So next week, I'm actually playing Rhapsody in Blue with my wind band in orchestra. It's not a concert, but just sort of, I've played it before, but just to play with them and learn it with them, which I'm really looking forward to because that's a bigger scale chamber music, I guess. So, and then I've got my final recital at the end of the month. So things like that, I've got things to work towards, which is really nice. And that'll be live recital as well, not online thing. So I'm really looking forward to that. I've got some more auditions for the next few months for various things, and I've got these small things to keep going. And obviously the big the concerts will be the Tunnell Trust, which I'm really looking forward to because I'm playing my favorite cello piece, which is the Rachmaninoff Cello Sonata. But we're also going to be playing two new pieces for us, actually, I think, which is the Stravinsky Suite Italienne and very rarely heard Kabalevsky Cello Sonata, which I didn't know until my teacher Kathy told me to have a listen to it. An amazing dark piece, and I think it'll be really interesting and colorful program. Really looking forward to that as well.
Good. Well, we at the Trust know you guys well because you both came on our study and performance week on the Isle of Col with a piano trio, in fact, a few years back. And Victor, you've come along as part of the duo with a violinist also. And now we've seen a little bit of you on Col, and you've now won one of the awards to do concerts. So So, given that you've been to Col and we know you, and you're doing the concert coming up, what benefit has any or all of this brought to your work?
I think for me, actually, well, Tunnell Trust's been really part of my life constantly for the past many years now, really. I mean, the first musical I went to, in a way, that was a big turning point, and not just because I ended up studying at the academy with Michael year after that, which was incredible year of studying. Wonderful person, wonderful pianist, and wonderful experience to do that. And both weeks, actually, because I came again as with Kit B a couple of years after, both weeks remained to be the most hardworking weeks of my life, actually. And I know that's the point of it too. It was great to be able to do that. I wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning, have great breakfast, and literally don't stop working until as late as I could go on to, I think, especially with Kippy, because we programmed 3 pieces which we've never played before and hadn't had a lot of time to work on. So we arrived and had to learn these 3 big sonatas that were really new. And I think we were rehearsing 9 to midnight pretty much non-stop. And I think I had to go and lie down for about 3 weeks afterwards. But both weeks, they provided such intimate and fruitful, fulfilling experiences that's unlike any other experiences. And actually, just going back a little bit to the Chamber Music Festival, it's going to be in the form of artist residency, where people get together for 3 days and perform in different concerts. In a way, Cole was the first experience of me doing that. I know it was the same person, but actually we also had the last night festival, don't we? Where we sort of, I remember playing the Poulenc Sextet with the wind quintet with no rehearsal and things like that, which was great fun, quite stressful, but great fun. And that sort of really immersive environment was the first experience I had there, which was really inspirational and fulfilling. And to be now part of the artists with the awards scheme is a step up, and really grateful for the opportunities at these difficult times, and it will drive me to keep practicing next year.
And Wayne, you do you have different experiences of Cole, or was that intensity of sort of 9 till 9 working? You did take some breaks from meals, I seem to remember, but was that sort of intense working something that was relatively new to you as well?
Yeah, it's definitely intense, especially if you're working with other people. But no, I thought it was really great because it was kind of like a small window into what like a professional chamber musician's life might be like, and to experience that along with all the guidance given by all the wonderful tutors at Col. So I thought that was, yeah, Victor and I always, talk about our first Col, well, my first and last Col, just being a really kind of big turning point for my view of chamber music.
Well, it's great to hear that it was a benefit to you, and I think that sort of intensity and spending that much time together as a chamber music group is absolutely vital. And that you've got, well, I think you've got 6 concerts coming up in December and November. You've got 2 in November and then 4 in December. And those 4 in December are on consecutive days. Have either of you ever done 4 chamber music concerts on consecutive days?
Not
No.
chamber music, no. Not even any concert for 4 consecutive days, no. So that's going to be a first, actually.
But it'll be the same program, I presume. So I'd be really interested. We have another chat after the tour, and tell me how it was different and how you felt in concert 1 to concert 4, sitting down playing the same program. I bet there's a huge difference. It'd be interesting to see, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think that's the great thing about repeating concerts. You learn greater flexibility. Anyway, look, it's been fantastic to chat to you both. Thank you so much, and thanks for your wonderful concert. And can't wait to hear you in Perth, Paddington, Peebles, Dundee, West Kilbride, and on the Isle of Arran in November, December. And until then, I'm sure we'll be in touch, but wish you very well indeed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.